to the basement.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Basement Boys podcast. Chris Gray, Devin Mitchell. You know how it goes. And let's start off. I'm fucking pissed again.
Why are you pissed? Why are you pissed?
Cause fucking Jamal Adams got traded. I'm actually not pissed, but pissed at the same time. I just really love Jamal. I really did. And I'm not saying he handled it well on his side. I'm not saying the Jets handled it well on their side. Like I've said before, I can kind of see both points, but man, Joe Douglas did get a bag for him though, so I'm calming down a little bit now that I'm talking this through to myself a little bit. But yeah, Jets deal Jamal Adams, making him the 5th out of the last 6 first-round picks that have been traded away.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Damn.
Only Sam. Yeah, just an absolute train wreck of a situation, as usual, as we've learned to love from the Jets. Little sensitivity on Jamal's side. I'll give them that, but... And now I'm just kind of pissed at Jamal at the same time, because he goes to the Seahawks. He makes all this big hullabaloo about how he wants to get paid. The second he gets to the Seahawks are going, yeah, we don't pay you. We're not paying you. It's just, you're our guy now. And he's like, oh, okay, that sounds cool. Like, but yeah. Got 2 firsts, a 2021 and a 2022.
Mm-hmm.
A third.
In 2021?
And... McDougald, who is a very serviceable starting safety. Not Jamal Adams level, but I would say a little more complete than Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams' biggest problems has always been back in coverage.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just not on the same level as Adams in any way, shape, or form. But it's not like we were going to do anything this year. Joe Douglas setting us up with some big picks for the future. Usually this type of trade, I would be a little down on even with the picks, just because I don't believe in the Jets to draft well. But Joe Douglas, the few moves he's made, because he wasn't really able to make any moves last season because they let the old GM go through the draft and all the free agency.
Stupid decision, by the way.
It's the Jets. What do you expect?
Same as the Knicks.
But yeah, I'm a little more hopeful with it. Joe Douglas has the credentials. The fact that he was able to get what he got with Jamal coming out and saying, hey, I don't want to be here anymore. Usually that's like the blood in the water for teams to come get him for cheap. And the Seahawks did not get him for cheap, so...
I gotta say, I'm really impressed with what the Jets were able to get for him. Like you said, 2 first rounds, a third, and a very serviceable safety. After Jamal's running his mouth, bad-mouthing the coach, bad-mouthing the GM, it's been well publicized that he's wanted out since, last season, I believe, some way halfway through. And yet, you're able to get all that in return for easily one of the best safeties in the league right now. Like, I tip my hat off to you, Joe Douglas.
And he got it for a safety, too. Like, I understand Jamal's one of the best safeties in the league, but he's not a lockdown quarter. Mm-hmm. He's not an edge rusher. He's mm-hmm. not some of these positions that get the big bucks in this league. I was very surprised.
Oh, I think everyone but Jamal Adams was surprised because he's betting on himself and, just trying to get paid like the best safety in the league right now, which is for like another I think, because Seattle has no money at all.
Yeah. And I think he just wants to be on a team that fucking wins.
Well, yeah, I mean that definitely helps. You know what they say, winning cures everything.
And I also don't believe his little fake love to New York after he after he left.
Oh no,
Sending out all
no,
the tweets like you're talking shit about everything, my guy, and then come out. But I loved you guys. I have nothing but respect for the organization. No, you don't. You made
No.
that very clear. You made that very clear when you said the coach was terrible, when the GM was terrible, that the owner was a racist. And I'm not saying you're wrong on most of those things.
But there's some shit that you just don't put out into the public. You know, like we all know Adam Gase, not a great head coach, but you don't go out there, especially when you're trying to get traded, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you know, he's the worst head coach ever." I got love
I
from
think
New York,
that's
though.
exactly what you do when you're trying to get traded.
My fault. Like when you want to be traded, yes, but don't be coming around after the trade and be like, "Yo, I got love for you guys." You know, like had some great times. Like, yo, pack your bags, get to moving. We'll see you at whenever you get together.
Yeah, so big piece of the Jets defense has now left the Jets. And then the other cornerstone piece of the Jets defense has officially opted out for the season. CJ Mosley. I actually just found out about this literally in our pre-production meeting. Yeah, I am. It's if this season does happen, it's gonna be a rough one for the Jets, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But at the
Yeah,
same time, like, I don't blame Mosley per se, especially looking at baseball right now. Like the non-bubble model does not seem to be working, so I understand why these guys are like, "Hey, I'm not gonna do this."
and not only that, like Mosley is coming off injury, so like, why would he go out there, take a risk on re-injuring himself potentially, and also getting COVID? Why not, just be like, hey, let me take a step back, make sure I don't get COVID, and I'll keep like training and strengthening. What was it, his knee or his quad or something?
um. Oh shit, that was the first game of last season. I don't remember.
I remember him going out too.
Yeah, I remember. I remember him going down and then the
Oh,
fucking defense falling apart.
was it a groin injury?
I think it might have been. Now that you
Well,
say it, it sounds familiar.
either way, though, like he can use this off season, make sure his family's safe, make sure he's safe, strength, get better, get stronger, and then next season, we'll see what happens.
Especially in a game where in a time where you don't know even if this season's going to go the full length.
Right.
Because we're not even 10 games in and they're already talking about canceling baseball, so.
Right.
But yeah, lots and lots of players opting out in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean,
Lots of players on the Patriots.
I think I saw 8 Patriots so far have opted out. And that's being headlined by Patrick Chung. They're starting a Hightower, starting linebacker. So their defense is also kind of up in the air, but they seem to always figure their shit out. Like we all thought this would be the year that someone could overtake the Patriots, and they're up to something. We don't know what. Up to something.
Yeah, everyone's making that thing and like making that point, and like in my head, just being a Jets fan, just knowing Belichick, I understand why people would have that idea, but it would completely make sense to me that just these guys are talking within themselves, you know what I mean? Seeing what's going on with baseball, seeing what's going on in the rest of the world, and being like, everyone's making a big deal that it's one team, but in my head, it also kind of makes sense that they're just it's just they're the guys in the same locker room. They're hearing the same things. They're having these conversations with each other. So one guy didn't like it, then it gave doubt to the next guy, which gave doubt to the next guy, which gave doubt to the next guy. So I'm not 100% sold that this is some big Bill Belichick plan to not to I don't know, to clear up cap space, which is what I've been hearing the most. And like, I mean, yeah, they have cleared up a shit ton of cap space. Maybe go out and get some guys for the season to try to make a run. But
get Devin Mitchell for the 53 spot on the 53-man roster.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it's some big play like that. I think it's more just guys in the same locker room, just having similar opinions to each other.
It is crazy though to see. I feel like every couple hours, you know, a new player is either opting out or being put on the reserve COVID-19 list. Like this weekend, I saw Matthew Stafford go on that list. I think a couple hours ago, the Steelers put Jalen Samuels on the list. It's just like some other players that are notable that have opted out are like Devin Funchess, receiver of the Green Bay Packers, Eddie Goldman, defensive tackle for the Bears, star, and forgive me for butchering your last name, Lil Tule for defensive tackle for the Bills, Nate Soldier of my Giants, so there goes that revolving door in the offensive line, Andre Smith of the Ravens, Larry Warford, guard, and Damian Williams for the running back, so the Super Bowl champs Kansas City Chiefs. Like, who's this? And we all know, like, there are going to be more names coming up on this list, like, any day.
Yeah, and it's not like in baseball. You saw some of the lower level guys. You saw some like maybe the journeymen starting to opt out in the beginning, but like we're getting some real high level names here. Some people who are very important for their teams at their position.
Mm-hmm.
It's not looking good for football.
No.
But they keep trudging right along, trying to make it happen. Whether you think that's a good idea or not is obviously debatable. But I really think it's another feather in the cap for these bubble sports, because they don't see any of this.
No.
Like, there's a couple NBA players that opted out, but no one really big. 0 positive tests. Same with the NHL. The NHL was just like, fucking throw us in a fucking shack with some ice nearby and we'll make it happen. So,
and get some good, exciting games. Whew! Let me tell you. Let me tell you.
Rangers have not started out hot, though.
Yo, that first period, though, was on fire. Like, I saw blood within the first 4 minutes of the game. We had a fight within that first 4 minutes. Like, by the second period, there was already, like, 13 minor penalties.
They may not win, but they gonna beat you up.
We going to town. Like, best believe, you know. That was just a warm-up game. Best believe, you know, we got another game as we're recording about an hour and a half from now, give or take. So, let's go. Game 2. Let's go Rangers. Blue shirts all day.
Blue shirts all fucking day. All right, speaking of people opting out, and speaking of the train wreck that is the baseball season, Yoenis Cespedes just decided, hey, fuck y'all, fuck baseball, fuck the Mets, I'm leaving. And that's exactly what he did.
He dropped the screw you guys, I'm going home.
Yeah, apparently, he literally just didn't show up for the game.
Hmm.
Went to check his room, just was not there. Said fucking see ya. Didn't even say see ya, just left.
Eventually, his agent came in and was just like, "Yeah, he's opting out 20. I mean, due to COVID-19 related reasons."
And again, you can't blame him, especially when you have teams like the Marlins who decide knowingly that they have COVID-19, put it to a team vote and play anyway.
Hmm.
Like, are you fucking stupid?
But the crazy thing is that I didn't realize this was Cespedes' contract year. So, being that he played in, I think, 7 or 8 games, however many it's been so far, he's already getting service credit towards his contract. So, next season, if he plays, he's looking to be a free agent. Now, I'm wondering how many GMs are willing to take a chance on him when he still could be coming back from injury. Because remember, last season he like destroyed both ankles and heels or whatever. They see him just basically no call, no show, and leave. I'm wondering how many GMs are going to be like, "Yo, do we really want to take a chance on that?" Like, we know he's a great bat when healthy, but is his mind right?
I mean, the leaving in the middle of the COVID thing would not put any type of. Sorry, excuse me. That came out of nowhere.
Just
Would
like
not.
Cespedes.
um, leaving in the middle of all this going on right now would not necessarily make me think ill of Cespedes. Look, sometimes you gotta take the facts you're given and make an educated decision.
Mm-hmm.
And the facts he's being given right now this is not going fucking well, in the slightest. So that would not weigh on me as heavily as him playing like what 7 games in the past 2 years. Like,
If that.
yeah,
Well, more so like I was saying, like the way he handled it, and like not even informing the team. Being like, "Hey guys."
I agree that's a bad look, but this is a crazy time. I feel like craziness, especially in that sense, related to the COVID and all that. I feel like that is a little more acceptable right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly don't think this is the last time you see it. Just a
Oh,
guy being like, "Look, this is getting fucking way too crazy. I'm not here for this."
right. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if like we see a couple more guys being like, "You know what? That's it. You see what happened in Miami? Half their team got it. Almost sit this one out. You see what's happening with the Cardinals? I believe I saw one player and 3 staffers as of Saturday, and I think they got a couple of new positive tests today or yesterday. I gotta double check that one. Wouldn't be surprised if a couple players are like, "You know what? Thanks, but I gotta go home and I gotta go take care of my fam. So I'm gonna sit this one out."
Yeah, and it's not like people are getting sick for respectable reasons. It's the Marlins just decided, "Oh, we need a night out." Like, no, you don't. We are in a pandemic world right now. Just because you can do something does not mean it's smart to. Look at the state where you're from.
Right.
These people rallied to get their states back open. And I get it. Small businesses, like just regular businesses, just the economy can't stay closed forever. And I completely get that. And I'm with you. But at the same time, Like, look what's happening. People are dying.
Mm-hmm. It's fucked
And
up though.
you can't trust these people to make the smart decisions for themselves.
Right. You have to protect them from themselves and come out there and be like, hey, listen, I know this shit sucks, but here's the rules. We're going to the hotel. You're not leaving the hotel until we go to the facility. From the facility, you go back to the hotel. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it's got to be. We don't want to see anyone get sick. We want to make sure everyone's healthy and, keep it moving.
And that's the other thing about MLB's model. There's really no rules. You can pretty much do whatever you want as far as the state's laws and what your team's rules are. And again, as we've seen with the Marlins, the team's rules aren't fucking great.
There are no rules.
They're treating this like this is like a regular season, but we just can't have fans in the stands, and it's a little shorter.
Right. Like, you see in the NBA bubble, they got little, Bluetooth things that they have to wear 24/7, and they're constantly checking in. And, I believe it scans, your temperature for you, and if you're a little high, it's like, you can't go here. Go back to your room. And I guess, some official comes in, takes your champ, does its swab or whatever, and then you go from there. But with baseball, it's just hey, you guys go to the hotel. Don't bring anyone up to your rooms. Don't there's no rules. It's a wild, wild west out there.
And at least in the NBA, they've been there for a month now. 0 positive tests.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, guys, you can't even get through 10 games.
Right.
These are the same guys that were arguing with the ownership. And hey, I was on their side during the negotiations. Everyone knows that. We've talked about it here, but these are the guys that were arguing for, let's play 70 games, let's play 80 games, let's play 100. You can't even make it through 10.
You can't even make it through 3. Let's be real, because this happened on the first weekend.
It's absolutely fucking ridiculous that sports is back. This is mainly, we talk about everything here, but mainly what we go through is sports. We're a sports podcast that for the first about 20 minutes now has not been actually talking about fucking sports. Just all the dumb shit around it when there is finally sports back on the air. This is
supposed to be our golden time.
We've been waiting for this since March when we started this motherfucker.
This was my Christmas, I'm not going to lie.
All right, before we get into even more depressing shit, let's talk about some actual fucking sports. Because if this season does keep moving the way it is, our boys, the Yanks, we going all the way this year. Ain't no one stopping us. Paxton needs to get his shit together, but, other than that one little blemish, 7-1, starting off hot. Aaron Judge last night became the first Yankee since A-Rod in 2006, I believe, to homer in 5 back-to-back games. Giancarlo has finally found his bat after last season. We finally have an ace pitcher. Everything's looking fucking golden for the Yankees right now. I really don't see who's giving them any sort of big problem right now.
Right now, nobody. You said it. The way Judge has been hitting, homering in, 5 games, 6 games consecutively?
But also 5 games, but also playing pretty decent small ball.
Yeah.
Getting the single when he needs it, getting the double when he needs it. Not only just trying to smack it out of the park.
But that whole team is, so strong. And, I mean, if Judge isn't, performing, you still got Sanchez. You got Torres. You got...
Sanchez has been starting a little rough. He's been getting on base the last couple games, so I'll give it to him, but
when he gets going, though, we all know that, he's a dangerous player.
I think he started out 0 for 18 with 10 strikeouts, though, so that's...
All right, so we're going to take Sanchez off that list. But I mean, like you look at like some of the kids they got too, like Gio Urshela, who I think he homered Saturday, I believe.
He
I could be
homered
wrong.
last night.
Did he homer last night too?
Yeah.
All right, so you got 2 homers I think over this weekend. You got like them boys. As an opposing pitcher, I would think to myself, well, I gotta be on my A game going through this lineup because if I make one little mistake, they're gonna make me pay.
I know. We didn't even have that great of a pitching performance last night. Boston, we let up 7 to Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And still, just every time they'd hit something big, we'd hit something bigger.
See ya.
Our next, the next team in that division that's even remotely close to them is Baltimore, and we have our way with Baltimore every time we see it. Every time we meet
Yeah.
them.
Baltimore is not ready to compete with the big dogs yet.
Other than that, Minnesota's playing pretty well. The Cubs are playing pretty well. Atlanta's playing pretty well, but I don't see them having the complete teams we have. I think the Nationals were the only team that gave us a little bit of a challenge. Let's put it that way. Also, Paxton did not play very well, so, there's that. But, first start of the season, shaking some of the rust off in weird times.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully he's able to turn it around. But the Yankees really, and we're not even just talking about them because we're Yankee fans and we're New York guys. I really don't see who's getting the best of them this year. Everything's just firing at all cylinders, from the lineup to the bullpen to the pitching rotation. Everything's just coming up aces right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that if they can keep up this momentum, for the whole season, easily running away with it. Who knows? Maybe we get a little bit of competition from some other team that starts getting hot. I guess in the dog days of fall, because it's no longer dog days of summer now. But yeah, the Yankees are looking like the favorites, and if you're a gambling person, now might be a good time to play some money.
That is fucking true.
Or if you want to just, do a crazy bet and see how many games the Mets are going to blow, that's another bet for you.
I mean, that is also another good one. All right, and keeping it on baseball, the other big baseball news since this season has started, Joe Kelly out for 8 games for throwing at the Astros. Let's start with your opinion on this, Deb. How you feel about it?
I mean, I'm kind of an old school kind of soul when it comes down to you let the players handle their shit on the field, but if you're going to throw at a player, you don't aim for the head. Keep it from the ribs down in this little meaty section right here. But throwing at the head, not cool, but I'm okay with throwing at a player, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm honestly in the opposite camp of this. I think throwing at people intentionally is fucking stupid. I think you're a child that just doesn't know how to deal with your emotions, and you gotta fucking throw a rock at the other guy at the playground. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Especially throwing 96 at his head. There are people being like, oh, free Joe Kelly. And I'm a Yankee fan. We got a very big brunt of the cheating scandal. Probably cost CC another ring. We've been through that before. CC come back, get another ring. But while I expected them to get thrown at, and I'm not I'm not one of those people who are super outraged when people get thrown at. It is what it is. It's baseball, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I just personally think it's fucking stupid. Because in no other walk of life would you be able to do something like that? If I threw a rock at your head right now, I'd go to fucking jail.
Right.
Which is basically what they're doing with the baseball. It's basically a rock.
Mm-hmm.
Throwing it 96 miles per hour at a person's head. People are trying to defend him. People and I don't even care that he was mocking Correa. I loved that. When he threw up to Correa after he struck him out, fucking golden. If you want to do that to them all day, I'm right there with you, Joe Kelly.
Right.
But you're throwing at a person's head. This is not even even just throwing at their ribs. You could break ribs. You could tear something in their leg if they hit their leg or their hand.
Mm-hmm.
You can break bones in both of those too. But the head, you are that is literally assault with a deadly weapon.
Right.
That is, you could argue it as attempted murder. Because if that hits the guy in the head, fucking guys could die very easily.
And they have, throughout the history of baseball, there have been players that take a knock on the head and, lights out for good.
So yeah, people defending Joe Kelly for throwing at his head, fuck you. You're dumb. Because at least, the biggest thing about throwing at someone, to me, is the guy doesn't really have any opportunity of recourse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could charge the mound, they could do this, but then they're playing with suspensions and fines and playing with their own money. Sometimes it needs to happen. See Joe Kelly versus Tyler Austin in another example of this, but sorry, I lost my train of thought and where I was going with that. But yeah, just all in all, talk shit, make the guys feel bad, okay, yeah, I figured out where it's going.
You bet.
There is no recourse. You don't get to throw back at that guy, especially now that even in the National League there's DH for this season. You're basically doing something there's not really consequences for, because even if there is a fight, the benches are going to clear. No one's someone might land a couple hits, but you're not going to get fucked up. You're not going to get beat up, at least in hockey when there's fighting, or in actual fighting when there's fighting, which everyone knows I love. It's two guys squaring up. One guy might be better than the other. One guy might be a lot better than the other, but they both have the opportunity. It's a fair fight. It's one-on-one. It's the guy who you might say is getting attacked in hockey, the guy who necessarily didn't start it, at least has an option to defend himself and get his own shots in and do whatever. In baseball, it's the equivalent of a drive-by shooting. You roll up, you shoot, and you pull off before the other guy even has the chance to retaliate. Or it's like someone in those videos you see just running by someone, punching them in the face. Drive-by shooting might have been a little extreme, but just running up, punching someone in the face, running off. It's just you're a pussy, my guy. Get your shit together and either do it fair or don't do it at all. And I'm saying, everyone roasting Kelly or getting on Kelly, especially the league getting on Kelly for talking shit to Correa. No, fuck that. Do that all day. Guy fucked up, cheated, and now you got to deal with it.
I was going to propose this question to you. Do you think if baseball had handed out, suspensions or a punishment to the Astros after they were caught cheating, do you think Joe Kelly would have retaliated like he did?
Yes. Just because Joe Kelly's kind of a loose cannon. Specifically Joe Kelly.
Right.
I think if they got punished for it, they probably would get thrown at less. They're gonna They're going to be eating balls all year. It just is what it is.
Right.
Don't you dare throw at someone's head. You're a fucking piece of shit if you do. That's
Yeah,
just all that is.
The head is no zone.
All right. That's all the real big baseball news I can think of right now. Just to recap, Joe Kelly, you're a dick. Marlins, you're fucking dumb. And Yanks getting a ring this year if
Number
the
28.
league stays going.
I mean, in theory, if the league was to shut down, they could just go by winning percentage at that point and still potentially crown the Yanks.
I mean, I think if they go that route, they.
Fuck. Sorry.
I think if they go that route, they find the teams with the highest winning percentages that are healthy and would bring them into a bubble for like a playoff style tournament, if not just the playoffs. You know what I mean? I think they'd probably at least at the very least try to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Before shutting it down. But like we said leading up to this, they have been very, very careful to not paint themselves into a corner of, oh, if 50 players get it, we're shutting down. So I really don't think they have a lot of intention to shut it down, no matter how bad this gets, unless it gets to the point where every player almost has it.
Right.
But I also think there are teams that are handling it better than others.
Mm-hmm.
From what we've seen. But again, it's the wild west out here. Every team is making their own rules. Like that has to be the worst style of system.
Oh yeah.
That you could have. And to be fair to the owners on this one, the players did not make it any easier for them. Because if you remember, the MLB was the first league to introduce the bubble idea.
Yep.
And yeah, they're not doing it because the owners want it in their stadium so they can get their local TV money and like blah, 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 try to make as much money as possible. But the second that idea came out, you had people like Mike Trout and I think Bryce Harper and like the big names of the league being like, yeah, no, we're not doing that.
Right. But yet you see what, like we said, what the NBA is doing, NHL is doing, MLS, yeah, they're in a bubble, and they're staying out of trouble, and they're not catching nothing.
Let's just hope the MLB figures this out, because I could really just use a fucking winner for once.
Give me the W.
I have not had... I mean, the last couple of years of us being a Yankee fan have been fun, but I have not had a championship since 2009 in any of my sports. So I would very much like to see it. Let's move away from the actual leagues going on right now. Let's move into something a little more fun. The XFL has been sold.
If you smile, no. What The Rock has bought.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think he's cooking nothing right now.
No, but he bought the
sure
XFL.
This was pretty cooked before we got there. But, yeah, the XFL has been bought by the Redbird Capital Group.
Mm-hmm.
Part owner of which will be Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
For a small fee of about 15 mil.
As you guys remember, the league was driven to bankruptcy right at the beginning of this when the world shut down. But we're looking primed to have a pretty good season, to have a pretty fun year. again, it's not NFL football, but no one was expecting it to be. It's football in the spring, giving some guys some options to play and maybe work their way back into the league. Because you never know what's going on with guys, maybe a little nagging injuries, blah blah blah. It gives an avenue, which is fun. It is crazy that The Rock is buying this off of Vince McMahon, his former current kind of boss.
I mean, Rock is just look at him. He's doing everything. You know, he's one of the most electrifying men in all sports entertainment history. Is now one of the biggest action stars in the world, probably, and he might be the most hands-on owner of a league. Like we got to see what he's going to be doing and how he's going to be running the league. But I feel like this is a good move for them. Like you said, not only does it get the XFL back and gives players another route to go about and kind of put that highlight film together so that maybe they can get to the NFL. But The Rock was one of them. Like before he became The Rock, he was a star defensive end at Miami, played up in the CFL for a little bit. Could have gone to the NFL, if everything had worked out.
I'm just very interested in what they're planning on doing with it. If they're planning on bringing it back, if they're planning on bringing it back the same way with the same teams, like I'm not reading so far into it yet. It's fun to talk about because it's The Rock and it's the XFL and blah blah blah, but it's the fact that they got it for $15 million too is fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I
think it's too late.
And also, apparently, his business partner is his ex-wife, which is also fucking crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, shit. I guess it's a civil, amicable breakup. I guess.
Hey, we all for non-toxic relationships and end of relationships around here at the Basement Boys. So this is a nice thing to see.
Hell yeah.
little bit of heartwarming stuff going on. Yeah, and I'm very interested to see, because I don't think they buy it to get the back catalog and try to make some money off that. Rock has never seemed like that type of guy to take the safe option.
No, he's looking to make it better and put his stamp on it.
Also, also to be fair, they were doing everything they should have done this time. It wasn't rushed like the first time. It wasn't gimmicky, because originally the XFL in its first iteration was just meant to be like a league, kind of like minor league baseball, where the games weren't necessarily televised. They were just like a arena event where you pack people in, get them to go have some fun, like minor league baseball or
right.
truck rallies or just stuff like that, like a little gimmicky, a little just fun to take your family to the game. And then just the idea of it being televised came up last minute and they ran with it, and that was honestly part of their downfall, because they just did not make good deals.
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely, I'm definitely interested in seeing where that goes. But shout to The Rock.
Yeah, I just want to be in that boardroom meeting and see his business plan and be like, yo, what are you going to do? I'm really curious.
All right, let's keep moving a little bit. Dev is probably going to take over here a little more than I do, but moving on to the gold standard of returning from this COVID-19 world we're living in, is the NBA doing it completely right. I'm absolutely in love with how they're like presenting the games, like the different camera angles now that they have the more room, the TVs on the side, and especially like behind the hoop too, for like when people are making free throws, so fans can still get in there and try to distract them a little bit. Like, I thought the crowd noise was going to be cheesy, but it ended up working out pretty well. I think it adds a little something.
Mm-hmm.
I like, again, same thing with the UFC. I like being able to hear the guys. I like being able to hear them talk a little shit, or like call for this play, call for that play. It really feels like you're just watching these guys like play some 5-on-5. Just not for anything, but with the intensity of them playing for a championship. It's great to see, and it's really not going anywhere near the way I expected it to.
Oh yeah.
First weekend, Pelicans versus Jazz, Clippers versus Lakers. Both of them absolutely fantastic games. Both within 2 points of each other.
And I think high scoring games too.
106 to 104 and 101 to 103.
Mm-hmm.
Really great battle by LeBron and Kawhi, in my opinion. Then keep it moving. Everything here has been blowing my mind.
Right. Like
You had
don't think I've seen like one bad game yet.
You had the Rockets going against the Mavericks on Friday, 153 to 149.
Yeah, like defense took a night off because oh my goodness, it was raining threes and buckets. Like,
I mean, the defense always takes a night off for the Rockets, but
that is true. But even I think they followed it up last night going up against the Bucks, and I think they beat them like 120 something to 114 or something like that. Like, the Rocket
120 to 116.
Oh, I'm sorry. But like the Rockets, they just seem like they're re-energized and are just like, yo, everything we touch seems to be like going in.
And I feel like the guys are just like going for it a little more, in the sense that when you don't have the fans there, it's not like, it is different.
Mm-hmm.
Just playing, like, it might not, obviously you're on camera, but it's different when you're on camera when you're actually in front of people. I feel like guys are just going for things a little more. I think guys were pent up of just not being able to play when they wanted to finish the season.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we're finally getting in their strides, and all of them, they know they don't have to go as long as they normally would. They know they're coming off all this rest, which usually guys at this point of the season would be getting pretty beat up. You'd see a lot of guys taking more rest time, taking the load management. But everyone's fresh. Everyone is off injury, it seems like.
For the most part, yep.
And just the games you're getting are absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it is. I really don't, because coming back to UFC, all the fights have been fucking fantastic. Here, all the games have been absolutely great. The little I've seen of hockey, because I have not been watching it as much, the games are great, competitive. The guys are going at it. Coming out of COVID, people are pent up and just want to fucking get it. And
I think that's what it's been.
Happening.
I think the fact that you've had everyone locked in their houses, not being able to practice like they usually do, not being able to play the games that they're usually playing, and now they're just like dogs that are like, hey, like, let me off the leash, and like you take them off the leash and they just go full speed. That's what they're doing. They're just like, yo, I get to do what I love now. Like, let's get it. Let's go hard as we can right now and like try to win this crazy COVID Cup championship.
And I feel like there's a lot more parity going on right now in the NBA. Like, yeah, you get some big losses, like the Pelicans losing to the Clippers. Like, you kind of expected that. They were only in there because they wanted Zion to show his face. But like the Raptors beating the Lakers on Saturday,
Yeah,
was a big shock to me. Kyle Lowry went fucking off. AD had a not great night, and LeBron was just trying to carry the team on his back to no avail. And they kept it pretty close until that fourth quarter, and then just the wheels fell off. But yeah, that's not how I saw that game going.
I was gonna say, like, to nerd out real quick, and one thing that I love is that even though they're all using, I think, the same court or like the same few courts on the sidelines,
they have like 3.
So like on the sidelines, they're changing the sponsors so that it's a quote unquote home team sponsor and everything. So like during the Rockets and Bucks game last night, they had Toyota because they played at Toyota Center. I think during the Lakers and Clippers game, they were playing on the Staples Arena. You know,
I think that was more just to get the owners to agree to this bubble idea.
Yeah,
because they're not losing their sponsorship money. That's for fucking sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, the NBA has handled it great, but the only reason they're handling it great is because they understand the money that's involved for them.
Right.
If they thought they could make more money, and like look at the MLB, half the reason they're not doing it is because they're not bubbling, is because they can make more money playing at their own stadiums from the TV deals.
Right. But yo, I gotta say, there is one bad news coming out of the bubble, and I'm not sure if you caught this, but Orlando Magic's Jonathan Isaacs injured his knee back in January, worked his ass off to come back and restart. First game goes off, second game back, unfortunately, according to Woj, tears his ACL.
That's fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Trying to come back in all of this. Like,
and he balled out game one.
Not only coming back injured, but coming back in Corona times while injured just to get re-injured. Like, that's... You hate to see it.
Yeah. But, like, that's one bad thing I think I've seen out of the bubble.
Well, hopefully it's the only bad thing we're seeing.
Hopefully.
Even some of these WNBA games have been great.
Yeah, I've been trying to catch them, I'm not going to lie, but I just never know when they're on, so...
Goes back to what we've been talking about, marketing.
Yeah.
Like, how do you expect these people to bring in the same type of money when you don't market them the same way?
I mean, I know the local team, the Liberty, they drafted Sabrina... Oh, God. Forgive me for mispronouncing her last name. Isakoyu or something like that. They drafted her number 1 overall. She was mentored by the great Kobe Bryant. Came out of Oregon, and she had like a pretty good start, and then unfortunately I just saw like sprained her ankle, so she's out a month, and I'm like, well, great.
All right, Dev. I think it's time for you to do that hockey. Give us a little update on the NHL.
All right, so NHL. Whew, where do we begin? Well, I'll tell you where. So last night you had hold on, wait. The Avalanche versus the Blues. Exciting game. In the third period, I'm sorry. Third period, game's tied 1-1. It's looking like it's going to overtime. Yo, man, these kids from Colorado, they managed to get a goal. but not 10 seconds left. Not 5 seconds. Not even a second. That puck crossed the line at 0.1 second. Like,
Yeah.
holy crap. And I'd be telling people, I'm like, yo, man, it's not over until, the clock hits 000. And that just proves, like, anything could happen. Like, for that puck to cross over at the right time, I'm not gonna lie, I wish I caught the whole game, but I only saw that highlight, and whew, that was a good one to watch. But it's looking like right now that, just like the NBA, NHL is doing it right. They're playing some great games, and I love the fact that they are putting the team's fans, like virtually, obviously, but like they're putting them up when they score, and they're doing like the chants and everything. So like it kind of gives the players a sense of home, in a sense, even though they're playing in front of nobody in the middle of Toronto and Edmonton. But really, nothing else has been crazy except
that league just started, so
yeah. I mean, there's only been one game for each team, but fun fact is that they're not disclosing any injuries. So if a player gets hurt or whatever, they're just saying that they're quote unquote unfit to play.
they're doing that with Corona too, aren't they?
I believe so, but like, yeah, I believe they are also saying that for Corona. But like, for example, the Rangers, one of their goalies, Igor Shurchkin, that's a mouthful.
Fucking Russian names.
He was looking like he was going to be in goal for Game 1 on Saturday. Friday night, they decide he's quote-unquote unfit to play. Enter Henrik Lundqvist, long live the king.
Hank, dude.
The great one. And, my fault, not the great one, I'm sorry. That is Wayne Gretzky. I apologize. I'm going to see myself out. But, yeah, so it's like...
We're supposed to be able to do that hockey, Dev. What are we doing here?
I'm sorry, I got a little, like, in my heart, he's my king, so kind of lost track of what I was saying. But I do kind of like the fact that, like, it's making it interesting, like, when you hear, oh, shit, this player's out for is unfit to play, and then you're like, well, what the hell happened? Hockey's already vague with their injury, because they'll be like, oh, it's a lower body injury, or an upper body injury, and you're just like, well, that's about half of what I'm looking at, like, let's be real.
He has an injury that is somewhere on a tissue in his body.
Right.
That's about as much as we're willing to disclose at the moment.
Right. So, I mean, like, for me being the nerd I am, I'm like, ooh, like, what happened? Like, I'm going to go dig on the interwebs and see if I could find out. But hey, we got a good couple games on. I'm biased, and all I really care about is my Rangers versus Carolina Hurricanes coming up at about an hour. And, yeah, we'll see what happens. And that's hockey talk.
All right. Let's end it off on a positive note, because there's been a lot of anger, at least on my side today. We'd be remiss to talk about it. We've talked about him at least once or twice on this show. The absolute GOAT of the NFL. Fuck your Tom Brady's. Fuck all other options. The fucking GOAT, Alex Smith, has been cleared to resume football activities. And not only has he been cleared to return to football activities, he just went through a 4-day workout with the Washington football team, where apparently he looked very good. He suffered no setbacks and looked like he could be an actual part of Ron Rivera's decision making for this year or next year or whatever it is.
Let's go, Alex Smith.
just the man, the myth, the legend, coming back from almost dying, 17 surgeries. If you saw that E60 and you saw his leg,
Whew.
it looked like they just took off the top half of it.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah. So yeah, just wanted to get that out there. I'm really interested to see some, like, I've seen some of his training footage, but obviously he's only going to put out the best there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you're a Washington football fan, if you're Ron Rivera right now, you need some fucking good news, man. And this
might be
one
the
of
best
them.
news you could hope for.
And,
I mean, maybe a team name would be nice, but this is right up there.
but and if I'm not mistaken, they kept his spot open on the team, didn't they?
I believe so. So technically, I guess he is the number 2 or number 3 quarterback.
I mean, if he comes back and he's anywhere near where he was, I mean, you have to put him over Dwayne Haskins, right?
The football coach inside of me says it's going to be an open competition, and we're going to let them battle it out during training camp. But yeah, I would say you got to give the start to Alex Smith. Like, I believe he's a better quarterback. He's, I would say, used to the game.
And
More
like,
used to the game or so.
I feel like people sleep on him because, like, they got rid of him for Patrick Mahomes. Then he came to the Redskins, who did not have a good team and, like, was not having a super amount of success. Again, largely in part to the fact that the team was not great.
Mm-hmm.
And then getting wrecked by J.J. Watt, which led to all this. It was J.J. Watt, I believe, right?
It was.
But you have to remember, the year they cut him for Pat Mahomes, he was coming off a close to MVP level season. He was having a great year.
Mm-hmm. And
That's why it was such a shock when they left him for.
I mean, we see what Pat Mahomes is, and every day the Chiefs were like watching him, and they were like, "Yo, we got to do something. Like, we got to get him on the field." And like we said, it's not a knock against Alex Smith. It's just that, like, holy crap, Pat Mahomes is fucking magician.
You might have the best racehorse out there,
Mm-hmm.
but when a fucking unicorn comes along, you're running the unicorn. That's all I'm
Yep.
saying. All right, just wanted to end on a little bit of lighthearted news. Shout out to fucking Pat Mahomes, man. Fucking love the guy. Especially
Now
after going through all this and coming back.
Alex Smith,
Who did I say?
Pat Mahomes.
Oh, wow. Yes,
But yo,
Alex
shout
Smith.
to
I love Pat
He-
Mahomes too, the $500 million man himself.
also the youngest part owner of the Kansas City Royals. So you know what? You get your dues.
Yeah, dude. Like, holy shit. Now Pat's got to worry about all these problems in the MLB.
Right.
All
That's why
right,
we're
guys.
thinking fucking A.
I just got into this shit, and here we are. All right. Anyway, guys, that is it for us for today. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content today. We have been working on some new merch designs. They should be out
So be
relatively.
on the lookout for that.
And when I tell you guys, these designs should be light years above what we have out now. Not that the designs are bad. We love all the merch we have out now, but we have some real fun stuff coming in the works.
Yeah, we're only trying to get better. Every week we try to get a little better.
Just all we do is get better. It's just what it is. It's how we work. It's who we are as people. Anyway, this has been the Basement Boys podcast. I'm Chris Gray. That's Devin Mitchell. See ya.
Deuces.
Welcome to the basement.